911, what's the address of your emergency?
I'm at the parking lot at the top of Lamb Canyon.
Okay, you're breaking up. You're where?
I'm at the parking lot at the top of Lamb Canyon.
Okay, what's going on there?
Somebody stole my car.
Somebody stole your car?
I'm going to kill myself. And I want the police to come get somebody.
It's so funny when people would say Jeret, I was like, who?
He had the most energy of any 10-year-old kid I've ever seen.
We orchestrated a camp in Lake Placid, New York, a training camp for young athletes to get kids involved in our sport of freestyle aerial skiing.
Saw this kid just lapping everybody.
He was running up the stairs, passing people on the way up, taking jumps. So he was doing like 2 jumps for everybody else's 1 jump. He was just going. And one of the coaches said, we're gonna call that guy Speedy.
You kind of knew that this kid was gonna be there someday. I mean, there was no question. He just stood out.
The sport of freestyle aerials is very interesting because it's a lot of different things in one. You've got acrobatics, you've got skiing, but it's somewhat repetitive in the training of it and the competition of it, that you're doing the same movement over and over, and it happens in a very short time.
This is the Utah Olympic Park in Park City, Utah. So this is where Jeret's main training happened early season before the World Cups began in December.
Now Speedy, the one thing he didn't, he was a little different. He didn't like that training process of repetitive. He'd get bored with that. But the one thing he had was the go for it, always pushing it to the max.
For some reason in his head, the tricks that he was performing seemed simple. He made sense of them. He did them better than anybody. He did them in a way that nobody else could. 40% great strength, and he had more mental capabilities than anybody I've ever seen in the sport.
The best phrase that sums up Speedy was go big or go home, all the time. The hurricane, the trick he did, full, triple, full. So it's 5 full twists and a triple backflip. Not a lot of people have still even attempted that trick. It's a hard trick. Everybody in our community, worried about Speedy to some extent, because where was he going next? He definitely, he had some instances where he got in some trouble, but we all knew he's a great guy and a good guy, and sometimes he'd go a little crazy. But I think in the back of your mind, you always worry about somebody like that.
He brought it to everyone's attention at the 2006 Olympics, and after he had some issues there, he started to sort of surface with some of these issues publicly. And I thought that was strange, but I also thought it was him trying to be more marketable. He just started kicking butt before the Vancouver Olympics. His attitude was great. We were getting him some great endorsement deals. And I knew he'd medal. I just didn't know what color it was going to be. I just knew he'd medal in Vancouver. And I also knew in the back of my mind that it wouldn't sit well with him if he didn't win a gold.
I wrote on a piece of paper that I wrote, I can land the hurricane. And I'm sorry, I'm a little tired and emotional right now, but I crossed out can't and I wrote will. And I did it.
I think the post-career thing for a lot of the athletes is it's very difficult. You're pretty much done. You're kind of kicked out of the locker room, and you're on your own at that point. I think that's been the challenge.
Will the money come? Yeah, and that'll come from me being a hard worker and being stubborn and, you know, being a perfectionist. That's just the person I am.
He got in some trouble like just 2 days before. And I remember hearing, I was just so bummed. I was like, why, what's going on, you know? And I think he was up in Idaho somewhere. And, you know, it's just, again, here's Speedy again. He's diverted off another track.
Good friend of mine for a long time and a colleague I worked with at the time came into my office and told me, and I straight up looked at him and said, you know, and I just shook my head like, yeah, I mean, I kind of knew it. I knew that that was a possibility. I knew it didn't surprise me as much as it probably surprised others.
You know, there was no reason for me not to believe it. That was the weird thing. I mean, if you know Speedy and the volatility of a guy like that, and you got to expect that you know, that's always a thing in the back of your mind that maybe could happen.
Here's someone that was at the top of his game, throwing tricks that were basically unbelievable. And here's someone that could be dealing with depression and that it's okay. Mental health issues should not be something of shame.
It is definitely not something that people like to talk about. It's all about performance and being at the top of your physical game and winning a medal. But when the medal has been won, what is left, I think, is more important than anything.
There's a lot of things in my life that I want to accomplish, and one of those is helping other people. I've always had this feeling that I was put on this earth to see how much crap somebody could go through and still come out on top.
He was going to go up there and do the biggest jump that was being done at that time and put it on his feet and bring home the medal. And there was nothing that was going to stop him from doing that.